Hello, and thank you so much for tuning into my podcast. My name is Kara, and I'm a holistic health practitioner for both people and pets. After working for years in the conventional medicine field, I realized that while our lifespans may be getting longer, our health spans are rapidly shrinking. And when it comes to our pets, both their length and quality of life are decreasing. When I turned to functional medicine and a more holistic approach to health, I saw dramatic improvements for my pets, myself, and my patients. Join me each week as I merge natural health for people and pets by focusing on the root cause of disease and applying raw, real remedies that you can use to improve overall wellness for every member of your family, including the furry ones. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This week, my guests are Jay and Adrian, the two crazy cat ladies. These two are dedicated cat advocates, social media influencers, bloggers, content creators. They offer a complete range of natural supplements. They're feline essentials. They're designed to treat and prevent common feline health issues. Since 2015, motivated by the lack of natural health resources for cats, Jay and Adrian have committed their lives to learning and sharing knowledge to help cats live longer, healthier, and happier lives. They regularly host live shows on social media to connect with cat parents, answer their questions, share tips on feline health and happiness through their blogs and videos, and worth noting, they also love wine. This is going to be a really excellent, very fun episode, punctuated by cats coming in and out of the camera. So please make sure you're watching. And if you're not watching, then you can still listen in and have a lot of fun. So let's get to it. All right. And we are back with Jay and Adrian, the two craziest cat ladies. Although, to be honest, I think I could give you guys a run for your money. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having us.
We're excited to be here.
So this is going to be a really fun episode. We're going to talk about nutrition for our kitties, who I think a lot of us feel are kind of underrepresented in the fresh pet space. We talk a lot about dogs. I talk a lot about dogs. I think cats are just really unique, and they have their own needs, and they are certainly their own individuals. And I think my cat Goose is probably going to make a guest appearance because he keeps trying to play with my microphone. But give us a quick intro about how or why you guys got into the holistic pet space and what motivates you to just be such amazing advocates for our cats.
That's very sweet of you. Okay, so what got us into this was exactly that cats were underrepresented. So we started in the pet nutrition field in 2005 with my family business. And we learned a lot about the pet food industry and supplements and, just what dogs need, basically. And we spent 10 years in the pet health industry and in the pet nutrition industry and learned very little about cats. And we had...
Speaking of cats...
I'm glad this is not live.
Oh, I'm not editing that out.
Keep it real.
Okay, great.
Keep it real.
It happens every time we go live in the afternoon. Friday, be a good girl. Come here. Come here, Friday.
She's like, it's not Friday yet.
That was put on show.
Yeah. That's a good one. It's fine.
Anyway, where we left off.
Picking up, the cats are very underrepresented. So when we had an issue with our cats, we turned to our industry, right? We turned to my family, right? Who are specializing in pet care, natural pet care. And we were like, what do we do about feline leukemia? My soul cat was diagnosed with feline leukemia. What do we do about these specific things? And they're just like, I don't know, for dogs, dogs don't have that, so I'm not quite sure, for dogs you would do this, so maybe you could try the same thing, there was just not that resource that we wanted to find. So in 2015 we branched off and we decided to just own the name Two Crazy Cat Ladies, debunk the myth that cat people are like old, crotchety, stinky, introverts.
Right. I am young, crotchety, and stinky. Not old.
Correct, exactly.
Why anybody got to be stinky?
Everybody thinks like a cat, if you have multiple cats in your house, it smells really bad, right? And so we wanted to just debunk the myth that is what the stereotype of cat people, and we
really
become that resource that we so long to find. And that's how we started. So our motto is learn, share, and grow, because we don't try to claim to be experts at anything. And we're learning new things like all the time. And we're 10 years in and we're still learning new things like every day. And it's amazing and it's fun. And so we just learn new information and we share it with the cat community, and then we can all grow together. So that's
I
us.
love that so much. I really pride myself on being a lifelong student. And I love teaching when I'm in the hospital and I get nursing students or nurse practitioner students, and we get medical students out of school. And I love teaching the students, but then I love maybe 10 minutes later, I might be the student because the attending comes in and wants to teach us something, or the consultant comes in and starts talking about this like esoteric medical problem that I've never heard of and how they might manage it, right? So it's always something. Or I stumble across something on the internet and I'm like, what's that? And I fall into a Google hole, right? So yeah, I think that we're always learning, and as long as you are learning and growing, you'll never be wrong. It's when you get kind of static and you stop where the problem lies. So.
Yeah, I mean, really, if there's nothing else to learn, if we know everything that there is to know, then why, we might as well die, right? Like, I mean,
Wow,
right? I mean,
wow. I mean, I just kidding.
What's the purpose if you know everything
Well,
there is to know? Then what's the purpose, right? So
yeah, what is the purpose in life? Yeah, I can think of a lot of purposes. One of which is to pet cats. I'm going to be petting my cat the entire episode. If you see hair pluming into the air around me, it's Goose. So we've talked about how kitties are a little bit underrepresented and they get overlooked. I have a couple of things in my mind just because of my own household, but what are some of the things that you feel are the most overlooked needs for our cats? Because of course I want to do best by my cats, but we're all busy. We all have lives, we have jobs, we have, some of us have dogs, sometimes you're sick. And I think that there's a few things that can kind of fall by the wayside right away, and it tends to be the things that our cats should be getting. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, isn't that true?
Yeah.
There's so many things that, in the hustle and bustle of life, the cats are the last ones, right? Especially if you live in a multi-pet household. Yeah, they're cooperative, right? It's like, they'll be fine if we don't pet them today, or they'll be fine if we don't play with them today, or they'll be fine if we,
Have you seen the cat today? No.
But not the dog. The dog needs to walk. We got to go potty. We got to do, So yeah, it is. There are several things. What would you say?
Top two that always come to mind for this are diet and enrichment, right? I think that there's a crossover overarching, and I got a hat tip to Julianne Hart and of Naturally Cats, and Pam Johnson Bennett, who writes an incredible feline behaviorist, and they talk about the significance of choice for cats. Mm-hmm. Giving cats a choice of anything. It's like well, my cat won't eat this food. Well, what other kind of food? My cat doesn't want to play. Well, maybe it's because you haven't found the right toy. My cat doesn't like cat trees. Well, maybe your cat likes hidey holes. Like there's so much that you can find out about cats from observing them, from better understanding them as a species, and then even paying attention. I think it's fascinating. Paying attention to how your cat eats in a multi-cat household. It's fascinating. They always say, cats are neophobes, as Dr. Chris Besant says. They only like one kind of food. They get stuck on it. That's what their safe food is. And I think it's fascinating. Texture plays such a big role in that. And watching our different cats eat, you'll see ones that really love the big chunks of stuff. And then you got the lickers that are like, if there's a chunk in there, I'm not quite going to get to that. So it's like giving them choice. Julianne Hart talks about giving cats a voice, but I think it's also
all about giving them a choice.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
Having different options. And I think things like the herb garden, which is, straight up awesome enrichment. I mean, it's enriching for them mentally, physically, emotionally, all those things. But in something like that, you get to watch your cat make choices. And I think it's zooming in on Madison's beautiful coat, baby.
Madison just wanted to come up because Goose was here. That's why.
Right. Say hi to Goose.
She loves to show
no,
off.
But
here it comes.
I couldn't agree more. I think that the importance of letting animals choose anything can't be understated, and it's something that. So, for example, in my house, we downsized to an apartment when we moved to California, and it's much smaller than our house was. Now, when we had a house, the cats had the run of an entire basement, multiple rooms. They had a lot of spaces up high, and they had different areas for their litter boxes. Well, there's only one place in this apartment that I can gate off a room for a litter box. So now they have no choice. It's you go into that room, which has only one entrance and exit, and you go to the bathroom here. And I'm so glad that all three of my cats took completely fine to that, and they haven't, they're not having any issues. But imagine if you have an animal who is very timid, or that's just not going to work for them, and now I can't even give them a choice because everywhere else I put it, the dogs are going to consume it, right? So it's really tough, and I think you can't understate the importance of that. And then the biggest thing that came to mind for me was enrichment, and that is definitely, I will be completely transparent, it's the first thing that I forget when I've had a long day or a bad day or a busy day and I'm just tired, and I'll see the toy sitting there and I'm like, they can play with it, and it's something that I have been very cognizant about over the last year and tried to really be better about. And actually, I have here one of our favorite toys from Coco Therapy, which Goose loves this toy. I don't know if he'll play with it on camera, but this is a great one because it's something that the dogs can't destroy, which I love, because anything that is like soft little mouses or, little things that can be picked up and put in the mouth, that does not work in this household because it's going right down my golden retriever's gullet.
That's actually very interesting, Kara, because Dr. Katie Woodley's cats, she has 3 cats. She doesn't have a dog currently. And one of her cats will chew that Coco Cobra, will chew it to like pieces.
To string.
Oh my God, really?
Yep.
Yes.
Wow. The worst that's happened here is Bear did try and put it in his mouth once and crunched it, and it like cracked a little bit of it. But then I just put a little piece of Scotch tape so the string didn't fall out, and it was totally fine. So this is like the first thing that I've found that hasn't completely just disappeared either under the couch or down a dog's mouth. So.
Yep. Yeah. It's a great toy. Our cats haven't
durable.
chewed on it. We haven't, but we have videos and pictures from Dr. Katie Woodley being like, wow, I'm going to need another one because
I'm going to need another. That's so funny. But yeah, I think that enrichment is definitely one of the big ones for me, for sure. And when it comes to nutrition, and I think we should definitely talk a little bit about nutrition for our cats, but we fall into this, it's almost like the trap of convenience, right? What is going to be the most convenient for us, the person, rather than what is going to be the most species appropriate and enriching for our cat. And that could be from what it actually is to how you're preparing it to where you're putting it and how long you're giving them to eat it. I have 3 cats, and one will mow down and then go right for whoever is still eating, right? So like we need to even be providing a safe space for them, and a lot can go into it. And I can tell you right now, none of it is convenient for me.
No.
0%.
When it comes to nutrition, they say that cats are like the easy pet, right? Like cats are so easy, right? And if you were us 20 years ago, that's true, right? Like the cat, like you just needed a water bowl, a bowl, a trough of kibble, and a litter box. And it was just like, oh yeah, they are pretty easy. But if you want to actually take care of them as a family member, once you know better, you have to do better, right?
And as a feline.
And
as a cat.
And take care of them when it comes to nutrition. They are much harder than dogs, right? Like, cause they are picky. You can't starve them. You can't fast them for too long. Mm-hmm. There's, getting them to eat a new food is a job for the pet
most
parent.
Cats. Let's
right?
not be total Debbie.
Not every cat. Yeah.
Wah wah.
But for the most part, cats are, they're imprint eaters, and so when you learn better and you're ready to transition them to a better diet, it's a lot of work. It takes more than just putting down a new food and being like, eat it when you're ready or starve.
I think that's
like
the
we
thing.
can't do that
It's
like we can with dogs.
Going back to the choice, it's like, well, you give your cat a choice and they choose to stick with kibble. There's so much more that goes into that, and it's
right.
But everyone says, well, I had my cat try A, B, or C, and they wouldn't do it. Like Jay said, the inconvenience is on us because it's all about consistently giving them a choice. Studies show that given the choice over time, cats will choose what is most nutritionally beneficial for them. So that's on us to take the time. Maybe it means wasting some food or whatever it may be, but it is being consistent and persistent that really does
The trick.
Yeah.
for giving our cats better nutrition.
I completely agree. It took a really long time to transition in this house. My cats were 7, 9, and like 11 when I started switching them over. It took almost a full year. And now they're, 9, 11, and 15, and they've been eating raw for 3 years, and they're amazing. But it was so funny the way it happened is a lot of resistance, a lot of wasted food, a lot of crying in the car because I was so frustrated. and we got really stuck for a while on cooked for my oldest cat, Goose, who I was just playing with. And the other cats took to raw. He didn't want it. And I was like, all right, you're an old man. You could have whatever you want if this is how it's going to be. I will cook your food separately from everybody else's food. But I still put just a little bit of raw in there each time, just to give him a choice. And he ignored it. And then maybe 2 months or so into eating cooked, all of a sudden he ate it. And so I did a little bit less cooked and a little bit more raw. And then it was like half and half. And then it was 75-25. And then one day it was all raw. And he is the first one to run to his plate now. And so I think the art of consistency and patience is definitely something that needs to be developed if you're going to feed your cat a species appropriate diet. And hey, maybe you get lucky, you adopt a kitten or even a rescue cat that's older, and you put a plate of raw food down in front of them and they're like, oh, I've been waiting for this my entire life, and they give you no trouble.
Yeah.
But I would say that's the minority.
It is, unless it's a kitten. And we do, we try to encourage people to get them started as young as possible because it makes it so much easier in the long run. But yeah, it can
be a challenge.
It can be
and I think it's helpful, people like you, even us out there helping to spread like the word of the trickery that it can take, or the best ways to do it most without wasting as much food. And there are more and more resources out there just for cats that really help make it easier, from food toppers to even raw food, pre-made balanced raw food food from companies that come in small pucks or something, where you're just defiling
I just
a very
coached someone
small
this morning on
right.
that. There's lots of options, but it is, we say the 3 P's: patience and perseverance pays, right? Like if you just have to be patient and persevere, and the persistency, right? Like it does pay. It does pay off. You just have to keep with it.
That is one of the things, going back to our own raw feeding journey. You mentioned earlier getting stagnant, like stopping your learning is where things can kind of go wrong. And I was all about cats having a moisture-rich diet. Awesome. Let's crack a can, let's do whatever. But then we started running into health issues, and Jay had been researching for more than a year and said, I think I really want to feed our cats a species appropriate raw food diet. And I was like, raw food, you will kill our cats. You will absolutely kill our cats. And it was when we say patience and perseverance pays, yes, she switched them over, and it was incredible to see the difference in our cats. The difference in their coat, the difference in their energy, the difference in their poop. For the love of the Lord, that was one of the most exciting things ever, because I always keep an eye on the litter box deposits. It's just this incredible, it pays. It's an incredible thing to watch your cat change in ways that you didn't even think were going to be affected by that kind of effort.
Totally agree. All 3 of my cats had their own stuff. And by the time, and again, you don't even know to look for it.
Right.
And I knew with the dogs, because once I started researching, there were things that I knew I was going to see improve with the dogs. And I'm not sure why on earth it took me so long to realize that I would see some of the same benefits with my cats. But even in terms of chronic conditions that they may be experiencing, there are very few things that switching to a fresh food diet, in my opinion, won't at least help, even a little. My oldest cat, Goose, was starting to slow down, and the only experience I had with a kitty growing up was I did have another Himalayan cat, and she passed away. We had to euthanize her at age 10 because she went into kidney failure. And so I thought, oh, he's 11, like maybe we're just getting there, And my orange cat Oliver would throw up maybe 4 times a week, 5 times a week. He would just barf, no good reason, not a hairball, just vomit. And my youngest kitty, Flower, super antisocial, very fearful, would accept a pet here and there, but was always just on a perch, not around. Within a year of switching them to a fresh food diet, Flower, I love it so much. She sits on my lap and she purrs. She's 9. Like, it took her 8 years to get here, right? And Oliver does not throw up anymore unless I go on vacation because he's an anxious puker, but we're working on that. And now Goose, he's like a kitten. He gallops. It sounds like an entire herd of horses is running through the house, and he's so vocal, and you saw him playing, and he jumps way up in the air, and it's crazy how I was expecting, the smaller poops and maybe a little bit more energy, perhaps a shinier coat, better breath, but all of the other things that I didn't expect to come, I was floored when they did. And I just can't overstate the importance of feeding a species appropriate diet because, even from the emotional aspect, I know I will stand firm that this is what helped my cat with her underlying anxiety and emotional strain, for sure.
For sure. Like when you think about the gut-brain axis, right? And then the importance of the microbiome in the gut. And we were just last night speaking with Dr. Linda Loudon, and she was talking about urinary blockages in cats, right? Like she was talking about urinary feline idiopathic cystitis, and then she was talking about the importance of the microbiome. And I'm like, that's interesting, but how, like, can you correlate that for everyone on how the gut microbiome can actually even affect the urinary tract? Like that's not something that necessarily resonates because the gut health is so important for their entire body, right? Like it's 70 to 80% of the immune system is in the gut. So if we build that gut, but with food, right? We switch that diet and we are diversifying the microbiome in their gut. We are building that immune system. Then all of these other things actually just like start getting better because we're feeding the right diet. I mean, and it's not really rocket science when you think about it, right? Like after the fact, when you think about it, you're like, well, yeah, duh. If we eat a healthy diet, like our skin gets better when we're eating healthy and exercising and doing good things for our bodies, like all of these other ailments that we were dealing with, or aches and pains and stuff, start to go away. And it's all because we're taking care of our bodies. Same goes for our cats, right? Like feeding them the diet that they're meant to eat.
Yeah.
We'll fix those things.
A lot of people do report a change in their personality. Dr. Loudon was mentioning just the difference it makes, especially for like shelter animals that are really withdrawn or really anxious. Just even, obviously being in a loving home, but the difference that it can make for personality. I mean, you think about humans are starting to recognize what you eat affects your attitude. And it is so, maybe even extra true for cats to see the difference that it can make. Just by giving the body what it needs, it affects the brain.
So many of the chemicals that are important for our mood, like 90% of the serotonin that you make is made in the gut. It's not made in the brain. It's made in the gut by your microbes. They poop it out for you, and then the gut-brain axis transmits it up to the brain and the other places in the body that it needs to go for those receptors. And so, I think that it's just, Goose is being vocal. That's like a prime example. But one thing I do want to point out here, though, and just kind of tying it all back together about representation, is what cats need in a fresh food diet is not quite the same ratios as what dogs need, right? So we talk about like 80-10-10 for dogs, and actually that's not what we're looking for cats. So they need a little bit more organ meat, and dogs can eat some vegetables, and cats, just like the most minimal. If you're gonna really put something in there, like the tiniest bit has to be prepped. They can't break down plant cell walls, right? So our cats are true carnivores. Dogs are carnivores, but cats are obligate carnivores. And I think that's something, like I see people feeding like pieces of lettuce to cats, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Oh my
Hey,
gosh,
I will say
well,
we
have
got some greenies in our family. So
Yeah.
we've got a Madison or
Friday.
Friday and Annie will come and steal
If we're
salad.
making spinach, they will come up
Broccoli.
and cauliflower. Like they will
That's so
grab the
cute.
leaves and take them and eat them because,
Yep.
but you know, again, giving them a choice. So when that happened, it was like, okay, well, it's not unhealthy for you. Maybe
Yeah.
your body needs that. Like
Needs a
so,
little extra fiber.
yeah,
Right.
absolutely. So take it, do it. You know, like whatever works for you. Here comes Friday now.
Here she comes, our little troublemaker. Well, come here, baby
come
girl.
here.
It's all right. Goose decided to come back too. So we talked about diet. We talked about the importance of just making sure everything is species appropriate. But another thing that is species specific, as you already mentioned, is some of the conditions that our cats can be prone to developing. And I know that you work a lot more. I mean, you see a lot more stuff with cats than I do just by nature of me seeing cats and dogs. What are some of the most common chronic conditions that you tend to come across for kitties?
Well, you know, there's the like top, I would say 4 or 5, right? So we've got kidney disease, of course. Nowadays, I think they say 2 and 3 cats. I'm not sure, but like basically, if your cat's 15 years old and doesn't have elevated kidney levels, then it's like an anomaly, right? If they're not already in kidney disease, then they're an anomaly, right?
Goose has perfect kidney levels. I'm sorry, you hate that, don't you?
But it is like it's an epidemic for sure. Their diabetes is now becoming more and more of an epidemic in our household cats. Pancreatitis, we see a whole lot of, and chronic pancreatitis. And most of these, right, like I would say all 3 of those can be directly linked to food, right?
Diet.
Like
Yep.
literally diet is the thing. And then there's hyperthyroidism. And hyperthyroidism, while it's a yes and a no when it comes to diet, it's not all related to diet. But it is an epidemic.
What were the
statistics?
statistics?
Stats were in 1980, 1 in 200 cats got hyperthyroidism or were diagnosed with hyperthyroidism, and today it's like 1 in 10, maybe 1 in 7.
Oh my God.
Right, that are diagnosed with hyperthyroidism. So it's a really growing epidemic, and it's kind of like one of those things that you're like, well, but why?
Yeah.
There's there's so much now. There is actually cats. That's another pet peeve of mine is that there's so little research, or it's really hard to find the research around our cats. So everybody's just guessing, right? But when it comes to hyperthyroidism, because of this change in numbers, there are a lot of studies that have been done around hyperthyroidism in cats. And it's very interesting because Oregon State University did a study on hyperthyroidism, and they were measuring how the flame retardants that they put into our furniture, which, by the way, started in 1980, how that might represent an increase in hyperthyroidism in cats. And they did a study with 78 cats, and they used this like silicone. It was basically a collar that mimics the flame retardants in cats, and they I don't remember the percentage, but I want to say like all of them, right? Like a massive percentage, so overwhelming majority, if not all of them, showed an increase in thyroid levels and T4 levels from wearing that collar. So it's a direct correlation to what we have in our home, not even what we're feeding them necessarily, but that's to come because the other studies do correlate to the food in some ways. But the stuff that the couches that we buy, the new couches that we buy that are covered in flame retardants, I know that we can't just like make sure that we all buy organic couches. Like that's stupid expensive, right? We can't afford that if we're taking care of multiple cats. But we can put blankets over them, right? So that they're not laying directly on them. We can use organic, and we can encourage them to stay in other areas too of our house. Like put beds. Organic beds are not as expensive as an organic couch. And you can put that, near a window or somewhere up high or somewhere where they like to lay, so that we can kind of discourage them staying around the chemicals, also the chemicals we use in our homes, right? Like, I mean, the endocrine disruptors that we have in our cleaning supplies and our fragrances within our homes just alone are, I mean, clearly, if they're endocrine disruptors and we're dealing with endocrine diseases, there's a correlation, right?
Yeah.
So cleaning up their environment in whatever way is very important according to the studies. The second study was about the pop top lids. Remember that?
Yeah.
The canned food, right?
Cans, yeah. And that's the one that I know the most about is the BPA and like the lids and yeah.
Yep. We encourage people, don't feed kibble. Let's not do a dry food. Let's go to a wet food. And then for a while, at least now there's so many, I mean, because this research is out, so many pet food companies are coming out with pouches and not, switching away from the cans. But the cans, even the BPA free cans, were showing that glue that they put on the pop top, right? There's something about that lid specifically that's leaching in these chemicals that are also contributing to hyperthyroidism in cats. And it's like, when we read that study, we were like, really? Like, we have tried so hard to get everybody off of dry food and onto canned food, and then now we'll be like,
it's like,
sorry.
come on, like of all of the, right? Like you think, okay, I can calculate that this can costs $3 and I have to feed one can a day, and that's 30 days out of the month, and so it's going to cost me $200 a month to feed my cat only canned, and boy, that's a stretch, but I'm going to do it because I love my kitty. Right. And then they have hyperthyroidism, and you're like, what do you mean this is from the canned food that I stretched my budget to use, right? Like that's so devastating to me to even think about that. We go the next step, we try to do better, and it just led to another problem. I hate that. It's heartbreaking.
I know, same. But it's also today, at least, when we first found this out, it was like there was only, I think, one company, Open Farm was the only one that was actually doing, maybe there was a couple others, but we're actually doing any kind of pouches instead of cans. But now, more and more companies are going to pouches, or an option of pouches for their wet food. It might cost a little bit more, but it's totally worth it, because of the studies. And then, so that one's kind of related to food, but not necessarily the food specifically, but the packaging of the food. And then there's fish, which is really hard, right? So the iodine, as anyone who has a cat with hyperthyroidism knows, the iodine it plays a huge role in this. And fish is really high in iodine. So, we get our cats over to that wet food diet, and most people, average cat parents are getting their cats over to a wet food diet by feeding them something fishy, right? Because they like
or
that
something
smell.
with fish. I think that's the other thing that you really realize is when our Pooh Bear had a food sensitivity to fish, we eliminated it from his diet, and we were just trying to figure out what it was, and we could not. It was remarkable. Look at the ingredients. How many lamb, chicken, beef, whatever turkey recipes out
Still
there
has fish in it.
have fish in it. So if you're really trying to eliminate it, it can be difficult. And fish, in general, we say fish in moderation because fish is, especially the fish in cat foods, are known to be high in other contaminants as well.
Yeah, heavy metals. Yep. Yeah. So then, if we're feeding our cats a fish only diet, then you might as well just go ahead and expect their thyroid levels to be raised once they, start
get to a certain accumulation.
Age. Yeah.
Right. Oh my God, Goose is so distracting. I don't know how you keep focused.
I know, he's so cute. It's tough. This cat is like the weirdest. He just is such a personality. My uncle says that he thinks there's a human in there. Like he has these big blue eyes, and they just are very soul piercing. So you can't hide anything from this cat.
I love it
so much. I love you, Goose.
Are you my dude?
Yeah.
Are you my dude? I'm surprised he hasn't tried to go for my camera, my little fuzzy camera top, but I shouldn't have done that. I probably just made a bunch of noise. I don't know why I did that. Anyways.
Because you were playing with it. You had a cat.
I am Goose.
To play with.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we know some of the causes of hyperthyroidism in cats. So we talked about the cans, talked about some of those endocrine disruptors, things that I used to love, right? My Bath and Body Works Black Cherry Merlot can red. I had the candles. I had the body wash. I had the wall plugins. I had it all, baby. All of the things that we spray down our, Febreze. I don't care. I'll name drop. Pine Sol, don't use that. It's bad for your floors. It's bad for your cats. Right? All of this stuff. And switching to something more natural is going to be helpful, not just for our cats, but I mean, obviously for us as well. I think, and we see it. I mean, I have seen a huge rise in endocrine issues, autoimmune problems, and cancer, especially in younger women, aged 20s to 40s. In the last 10 years, the numbers are skyrocketing. And what do we love? What gets marketed to us? All of those fragrances, you know, the newest pretty baubles, the fake flavor shots in your Starbucks drink, all of that crap is slowly killing us. The difference is, for our kitties, they're in just a smaller package. Their detox pathways are not going to be as efficient as ours. I mean, they're efficient for them, but not for the amount of stuff that we expose them to. And so it's like cats are the canary in the coal mine because they're the smallest and they're warning us, hey, this is happening to us at an exponential rate. You better be careful because it's going to happen to you. You're just not going to see it quite as quickly.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. You know, the research was showing that the cats in a home like yours, right, with humans, dogs, and cats, the amount of chemical household cleaners, household toxins in the bloodstream of cats is 23 or 28. 28 times higher than that of the human in the home, and twice as high as that of the dog in the home. And that's, you know, our cats they don't get to go outside. They don't get to off gas. They don't wear clothes. They don't wear shoes. They're walking on everything. They're grooming themselves. It's being absorbed directly through the paw pads. They kind of get the brunt of the deal, and they have tiny little livers, right? Like, and it's trying to, like, our liver compared to our cat's liver, and they're actually exposing them to even more of the toxins. Even though we're exposed to the same toxins, we have clothes on, we get to go off gas, we get to all these other things.
Shoes.
They're stuck in our homes, and they're ingesting it, and they're breathing it in, and then their little livers aren't able to keep up with the
and a lot of the stuff have forever chemicals in them, so that toxicity just keeps accumulating.
Builds. Yeah. Yep. Ugh, I hate it. Well, now that we know what to avoid, what can we do if our kitty does develop hyperthyroidism? And I know that you guys have recently helped formulate a supplement for hyperthyroidism, and I would love for you to tell us about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, we didn't help formulate it.
No.
We had an expert do that.
We asked an export to formulate for us. The beautiful...
You commissioned a formulation.
Yes. The beautiful Rita Hogan formulated an herbal remedy, thyroid ease is what we call it, liquid remedy for cats that helps to lower the levels, the thyroid levels, right? So ease the thyroid, right? And the cool thing about this is that especially if we catch it early on, right? So we always tell everyone, like, once your cat hits those senior years, you want to get your blood panel, right? Like, you want to get it every year, but preferably every 6 months, especially if they haven't, if they're not necessarily on the best diet, if they have a traumatic, or a history of being kibble fed and exposed to toxins and all those things. We want to get that blood panel so that we can catch it when it's early, right? Yeah. And if we catch it when we're early, we can reverse it like that. And then it will also help, no matter the stage of hyperthyroidism, it will also help to ease those levels and start to reverse those numbers.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so excited that you guys came out with this, because the amount of cats, I mean, I see people posting on Facebook groups, people reach out to me, and it's just, the treatments that are out there are not the best. You can give methimazole, which has its own side effects. You could do radioactive iodine, which then zaps the thyroid, and then you have to be on thyroid hormone replacement for the rest of your life. It's you can have the thyroid removed. Nobody's doing that. The options that are out there are not the most ideal. So I love that now there's this beautiful natural herbal remedy that you can add in addition to feeding a species-appropriate diet, getting rid of those forever chemicals, minimizing the contaminants and the endocrine disruptors, staying away from too much fish. And so this is another really excellent thing to add to the repertoire.
Yeah, absolutely. I will also say so before we came out with Thyroid Ease, before we even knew Rita Hogan, we have been using Catalyst, which we knew just helps support all the organs in the body, right? We're not like scientists. We work with a holistic animal scientist who makes these, but we just knew that it would support all those levels. We had a couple of our senior cats to the vet when they were older, and the vet diagnosed. It's a long story, but I thought that they diagnosed Oliver Twist with early stage kidney disease. And so I was like, well, I know the Catalyst will help support the kidneys, so I'm going to give them double, triple doses, and that's what I'm going to start giving them so that we can, before we do anything else, let's just start there. And then 6 months later, took him back in for a recheck, and the vet called me and said, how did you reverse his hyperthyroidism? And I was like, hyperthyroidism? I thought I was treating kidney disease. And she was like, no, but the vet wants to know what have you been doing different, because his numbers just completely reversed. And I was like, I've been giving him Catalyst. So, and that was it before we came out with something specific to hyperthyroid. Specific to the thyroid. This is good for joints and for inflammation and for digestion and for skin and coat and for all those things. But that in the early stages actually reversed his hyperthyroidism. So now we have like a hyperthyroid kit, and I'm like, we need to put them together. Because if we have somebody, especially if it's like, oh my God, they're at like stage 2, stage 3, what do I do now? I want to do something natural. You want to do them together.
Yeah. And I will say in the kit though, you actually get the big bottle.
Yeah.
The big bottle. Oh, okay.
The big bottle.
Not the little bottle.
Right.
Yeah, I have used the Catalyst before, and I mean, I've never had any trouble putting it into their food. And as we have already ascertained, my cats are very picky and took a long time to transition. So like sneaking something into their food can always be hit or miss, and they have always done fine with this. So.
I got to say, for both of these, for most of our products actually, being liquid, it is so much less traumatic to add something in. And the trickery there is, if you do have a super picky kitty, you just start with a whisper dose. You just start with like a drop or 2 drops, and then you're able to work up to an effective dose, and it's non-traumatic.
Yeah.
Which is helpful.
And something I want to encourage people to, just regarding thyroid disease. So first of all, familiarize yourself with the symptoms of hyperthyroidism. So like extreme hunger, weight loss despite eating, hair loss. There's a lot of things that you can see, diarrhea. Okay, but so you're experiencing these symptoms, right? And you go to the vet and you're like, hey, I'm a little bit worried that my cat might have a thyroid problem. Could you check a thyroid panel? You are not done there. You need to ask for a complete thyroid panel that includes TSH, T4, T3. And if you can get them to check a reverse T3, I give you a gold medal. But and these are very important, because a lot of times your T4, will start to rise before your TSH starts to lower. And so you can have a normal TSH, which is your thyroid stimulating hormone. It's the hormone that tells your thyroid, hey, crank it up. We need more thyroid hormone. So that can stay normal, but you're starting to see higher levels of T4. And the T3 is important, and so many vets won't run that. And it really pisses me off, because the T3 is the active version of thyroid hormone. It's what is being taken up into your tissues, right? So if you're not getting peripheral absorption of your T3, your body thinks, oh, I need more thyroid hormone. The problem is not that you don't have enough. It's that it's there, you're just not absorbing it. So you might not even have a primary thyroid issue. You could have an issue with your absorption, and you maybe need some selenium, or you need some zinc, or some of these other nutrients that actually force your cells to use the thyroid hormone. So it's really, really, really important to ask for that. Please don't just accept a TSH if you think your cat has a thyroid problem. So that is my word of wisdom. It's a lot of letters, but just write them down, tell your vet you want the whole thing.
We'll say complete, the full thyroid.
The complete.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I think this was so awesome. So, okay, to keep it fun and keep it light, now that I went on a rant, I want to end us with a little trivia.
Okay.
Ooh.
It's all about kitties. And it's I just want, so you both have to answer, and I want you to choose the first thing that comes to mind, and then I'll tell you my answer at the end. Are you ready?
Okay.
Oh, that's
Ready.
kind of dangerous. All right.
All right. Long hair cats or short hair cats?
Short
Short
hair.
hair.
Okay, I'm a long hair girl. You saw my goose.
I know.
I'm a sucker for a Himalayan. Okay, what is your favorite color? If you had to just one color or mix of colors, what's your favorite?
Of cat?
Yeah, for kitty.
Gray.
Gray. Black. I love black cats so
Black.
much. My roommate years ago had a black cat. His name was Rory, and he was the coolest thing. He was just like midnight, black, long, silky hair with these beautiful green eyes, and I've been on the hunt for one of those for a really long time.
Oh, I wait till
you.
you come meet our panthers. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. Okay, what do you think is cuter? Like, what speaks to you more? Cats chirping, like you know how they chirp at birds in the window, or a cat purring?
Chirping.
The chirping. The little.
Yeah, I love the chirping.
So
Yeah.
cute.
It is.
I can't-
I mean, the purr we're used to, we love, right? But
who doesn't?
if you had
Yeah.
to pick, yeah, the
Their
chirping.
little mouth and their whiskers puff out, and it's like.
You know, they're like, it's like, what are you doing? I have a cat who does not meow. She only chirps or like, what's the word? Like trills, I think
Yes.
is the word. It's like like it's a weird little noise. And she purrs, chirps, or trills. I've never heard her meow. It's very strange.
Oh, cutie.
I love it.
Okay, this is the hard one.
Okay.
Who is your favorite cartoon or TV cat actor?
I don't know.
Garfield?
I know Garfield.
You're fired.
Wait, are there other cats?
Oh, you guys aren't Disney ladies, are you?
Oh no.
No, but Disney hired us to go watch the
We got to see Garfield.
And it was very cute.
It was super cute. I think I cried.
Yeah, you did.
You know, there's like 3 Garfields, and they got progressively worse.
Oh,
It
we
was
only
the
saw
latest
the last
one. It was
so-
the latest one, I think. Like
No offense, Bill Murray. No offense.
Oh, no, I don't think
suck
Bill
at
Murray
being-
was in there.
We suck at being cat ladies.
We suck at watching movies.
We do.
We don't do a lot of movies.
You know what? That's fair. I feel like you guys haven't had a lot of time in the last 20 years because you've been too busy trying to advocate for all of the felines in our community. So I guess I'll give you a pass.
I can't get her to sit on the couch for more than 10 minutes, so movies are kind of out of the question.
And if you do, you just snoozing immediately.
Correct.
She does, yeah.
You know me so well.
That's how my husband is too. Literally, we turn on something at night, and within 5 minutes, I'm like, "Oh, babe, what did you think?" And he's just out.
Gone.
Yep.
Yep. That's this one. Yeah, I have to know your answers because I want to know what other cats are out there.
Have you ever seen the movie Homeward Bound?
Yeah.
It's an old one.
It's an old one. Yeah.
It's about
It's a
a
dog.
cat and 2 dogs who get lost in the Sierra Nevada mountains, and they have to find their way home. And the cat, her name is Sassy, and she's a Himalayan.
Yes, I'm remembering this now because it was like when I was a kid. Like it was young. Like we were young when
Yes.
that, right? Yeah.
Yep. So the original actually came out in the 90s or the 80s, I think, and it was called The Incredible Journey. And then they remade it like in the late 90s, and that one is called Homeward Bound, and then there's a Homeward Bound too. But I will admit that I was very young when I first saw that, and it sparked my love of Himalayan cats and golden retrievers. And then the third one is a pit bull. And I'm proud to say that I now have all 3 of those in my house: a Himalayan, a golden retriever, and a pitty.
You're like gold.
You are homeward bound.
Wow.
I am homeward bound, and a lot of other rescue animals of some very interesting varieties that make them look like one dog's head attached to a different dog's body, and just all kinds of really weird stuff here. So
Love it.
So
Love
wait,
it.
this homeward bound thing. I'm very skeptical
I'll
of
watch it
little
with you.
animal movies because the dog always dies. Or the cat always, like, somebody dies and I just can't watch it.
there is no death. There is some peril.
Hand to God.
There's peril, but they all make it home.
Hero. But
It's a perilous journey, Adrian.
that's fine. I can handle peril. I just can't handle,
It's
Okay.
worth watching if you have 90 minutes, but have a box of tissues. You will tear up. But they do make it home at the end. Everybody's fine.
okay.
Spoiler alert. But.
Just ruined the end. Yeah.
No, that is the ending I need to know is there in order to watch the perilous.
I'm the same way. I can't. There's a website called doesthedogdie.com. And I go to that website before every movie and I make sure that no animals perish in the movie.
I like that. The very first movie I ever saw in a movie theater was Benji. And that so...
And you're scarred for life.
Yeah, that was it. And first of all, you think like, I grew up without a TV, so going to the movies was like the most exciting thing in the world. Yeah. And it's this adorable dog. And I remember I was uncontrollably sobbing. And then the lights come up and you have to walk by all these other people. And it was like, no, that is it. Never again. Never again.
Never watch it again.
Doesthedogdie.com. Okay.
There you go. Little tip for everyone, including us.
For all you animal lovers out there. Doesthedogdie.com. Oh boy, Goose. All right. Goose is being vocal. I think he said, Kara, you've prattled on long enough about cartoon cats. This was amazing. I appreciate you guys so much for coming on here with me. How can people find you, find your ThyroEase product and all of your amazing products and information?
You can go to our website at twocrazycatladies.com. That's TWO crazycatladies.com. You can find us on social media, The Two Crazy Cat Ladies on Facebook and Instagram, Two Crazy Cat Ladies on YouTube and TikTok. And then we've got our podcast, Back in the Closet, Spotify, Apple, and I think other places, but I don't know where all it goes. But I just put it out there.
It's out there.
Yeah, we just try to put out as much information wherever, but yeah, you can get in touch with us on any of those platforms.
Perfect. Amazing. Well, thank you guys so much.
It's always so great to chat with you.
All right. Talk soon.
Bye. Bye, Goose.
Goose.
Thank you for listening. Please remember that you, yes, you, are the driving force that helps keep small businesses and platforms like mine running. So if you liked what you heard, please like, share, and most importantly, rate this podcast. It's the only way we can reach more people and spread the word about natural health. None of the conditions discussed or recommendations given are meant to replace the advice of your health provider. So if you have concerns about yourself or your pets, please confer with a human or animal health practitioner. Have a super fantastic day, and I'll see you next week.